Life needs things to live, and plants need things to grow. One of those things is nitrogen, which plants use for things like building amino acids and chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Unfortunately, most nitrogen on this earth is found in a form that is entirely unusable by plants, and barring one very cool species of marine algae, eukaryotes, like plants, animals, amoeba, and fungi, don't have the intracellular tools to convert environmental nitrogen into a plant-friendly format, a conversion process called nitrogen fixation. Because plants can't do their own nitrogen fixation, there are a couple of different ways that plants get the nitrogen, that plants crave. The most common is simply to freeload on the existing nitrogen content in the soil. Plant can't do nitrogen fixing itself, but it can draw on bioavailable nitrogen that is in the soil environment, at least while supplies last, or while supplemented by chemical fertilizer. The other strategy that plants have is to make friends with the soil bacteria that do have nitrogen-fixing abilities. This is what you see from legumes, alfalfa, and so on. Symbiotic relationships between the plant's root system and nitrogen-fixing bacteria, which work together to make enough nitrogen for the plant to use and typically enriching the soil content as well. This is one of the reasons that crop cycling is a thing in the first place. You'll grow something like corn, then wheat, then both of which slurp up the nitrogen before a double crop of soybeans to restore balance to the force. Nitrogen to the soil. And look, I love soy. I will do violence to a tofu steak anytime, but agriculturally it is limiting that some of our major staple crops have to have some time off in these crop cycles. Lentils are great, chickpeas are phenomenal, I'm not mad that they perform an ecosystem service within agriculture, but for the sake of the whole feeding the world thing, there's a lot of incentive, scientifically speaking, to get more flexibility in our planting schedules. So this week's science tries to do just that. In this case, by giving wheat the ability to make friends with nitrogen-fixing bacteria, achieving a similar effect to the one legumes would usually have to cycle in. This is not the first time someone's tried to do this. One way is to try to introduce the nitrogen-fixing enzymes from soil bacteria into plants. Another is to try to get plants to grow root nodules like legumes have, which actually almost worked. But today, we're doing a light spot of CRISPR gene editing, getting the plant's roots to release more of something called apigenin. Apigenin is an organic compound that promotes the formation of biofilms. Think like the inside of an aquarium when you clean it. And those biofilms include the kinds of nitrogen-fixing bacteria that we find in symbiosis with legumes and other plants that we usually crop cycle into the rotation. These gene-edited wheat plants had more nitrogen content, better photosynthesis, and ultimately produced more grain than wild-type, that is, non-edited, wheat plants. This isn't the first crop that this research group has gene-edited in this way. In 2022, a paper with many of the members of the same research group were able to make a similar CRISPR edit to rice so that it required less nitrogen fertilizer to grow. Now, it's the same self-fertilizing idea, but with wheat. So, is this Green Revolution 2.0? Well, I did see the rice paper cited in a review about the so-called Second Green Revolution, but it's a lot harder to tell whether or how this will translate into actual agricultural varietals. We've talked previously about the many ways that gene editing can make our food more efficient to grow and even healthier for us, like tomatoes as a source of vitamin D. But truthfully, sometimes scientists and bioengineers are capable of creating these incredible innovations in plant biology that may not find their way into commercial agriculture. That said, semi-self-fertilizing wheat and rice are absolutely of interest to commercial agriculture. For once, business incentives align with improved technology in a way that can bring a lot of good and feed a lot of people. And it's entirely possible that we won't see a commercial version of this technology, elegant though it is, just that little bit of CRISPR, But if anything, that's because it's a crowded field for bioengineers to find ways to make our wheat and other cereals less reliant on chemical fertilizer. That's honestly a pretty cool problem to have. Multiple lines of research as to how we can improve our staple crops using bioengineering? Yes, please. This gene edit doesn't really change the wheat that we eat in any meaningful way. It just makes it easier to grow more of it. The better we understand our crops and how their biology functions, the more we can use our existing tools like CRISPR to hack those pathways to make our food better for our health and, as here, to make it more feasible to feed the world with these crops across a range of ecological and climate circumstances. But no matter how well we biohack our wheat or rice, crop cycling or no, I'm still absolutely going to destroy that tofu steak.